Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you're a focused learner putting in the work to really polish your English skills, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're doing a total mindset shift on how we look at language learning. You see, mastering B2 English isn't just about endlessly memorizing dry grammar rules. It's actually about debugging your sentences exactly like a computer programmer debugs code. Think about it. When you speak or write, you're outputting code. And when that code has a syntax error, your message crashes. So today, we're giving you the ultimate developer's manual to track down those glitches and patch them for good. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's quickly run through the release notes for today's B2 software update. First, we're installing the debugging mindset. Then, we'll patch your verb forms, fix up your nouns and articles, reinforce that structural glue, optimize your word choice, and finally, run the complete B2 update on your whole system.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the B2 debugging mindset. We are going to stop guessing and start running systematic pattern recognition on our own speech. Here is the exact three-step debugging loop that turns a glitching, broken sentence into flawless, native-like output. Step 1, you find the broken rule, the pattern your sentence just completely violated. Step 2, you understand why it crashes. We're not just blindly fixing things here. We want to actually understand the logic error behind it. And Step 3, you apply the patch. It's a super simple, totally repeatable process that we can use every single time we speak.
Moving right along to Section 2, patching your verb forms. This is the engine of your sentence, so it needs to run smoothly.
Let's look at this incredibly common glitch. Imagine someone saying, the results will going to be ready tomorrow. Right away, you hear the clash, right? Both will and going to express the future, but trying to use them together is literally like forcing two future markers to crash into each other in your code. The system simply does not allow it. To fix the system error, we just choose one patch. Either will be ready or are going to be ready. Pick one and boom, your code runs perfectly.
Okay, here's another frequent crash, and this one involves modal verbs. Words like can, could, should, must, might, and will. The glitch usually looks something like they should made or problems might happened. So here is the absolutely crucial hard-coded rule. After a modal verb, the very next verb is always in its base form. No s's, no eds, and absolutely no to. The correct patch is simply should make and might happen. Clean, simple, and completely error-free.
Next up is subject-verb agreement. We hear this glitch all the time. The number of players are growing. I mean, it kind of sounds right because the word players is plural, right? But actually, the head word of this entire phrase is number. Because the word number is grammatically singular, your verb absolutely must be singular too. So the required patch to get this running properly is the number of players is growing.
Now, what about state of meanings? The glitch here is saying she is living in a small village when you're trying to describe a permanent fact. Here's the deal. If something is a permanent state or it involves a state of verb like knowing, believing, meaning, or owning, the simple present is the required format. Using the continuous tense makes it sound temporary, like she's only there for the week. So, if it's a general, permanent fact, the patch is she lives in a small village. Let's jump into Section 3, fixing nouns and articles. We're going to clean up the objects and subjects that are causing system redundancy.
It is really interesting how our brains naturally try to over-apply logic. The glitch, many children's play games, is a classic example. But the word children is already a plural code. It natively means more than one. It never, ever needs an S slapped on the end to make it plural. And hey, just as a quick aside, apostrophes are strictly reserved for showing possession, not for making plain old plurals. The patch here is simply many children. Similarly, we run into trouble with uncountable data. Words like information, advice, news, and traffic are bulk concepts. They just don't have plural forms. So the glitch, he gave me some informations, instantly crashes the system because these words are uncountable, no plural forms, and no a or an modifiers are allowed. You absolutely must patch it to some information.
Let's take a quick look at how to fix your quantifiers and comparatives. First rule of thumb, use number for things you can physically count and amount for things you cannot. Saying a large amount of accidents is a glitch. You patch it to a large number of accidents because, well, you can actually count them. Next, when you're making a comparison, always execute it with the word than, like video is more dangerous than social media. Finally, when describing age, we don't say higher age users. The proper native-sounding descriptive code is older users. All right, on to section 4, structural glue and prepositions. This is all about the syntax that holds your coded sentences together.
Word order is absolutely critical here. Look at this glitch. They just will be busy for a while. Short adverbs like just, always, often, or never have a very strict execution order. They must always process after the auxiliary or modal verb, not before it. So we debug the syntax, move things around, and patch it to, they will just be busy.
Now, if there is one thing that causes massive prepositional crashing, it's trying to guess which small word follows an adjective. Guys, we can't guess. These are hard-coded units. You are aware of, you are conscious of, you are responsible for, you are interested in, and you are good at. We literally must learn these pairs together as a single unit to make sure our code compiles correctly.
And speaking of prepositions, here is a super common formatting error in modern English speech. The glitch, I saw it in YouTube or in social media. But here's the thing, digital content does not live in a platform, it lives on a platform. Whether we're talking about a website, an app, or a social network, you confidently patch this to on YouTube or on social media.
Let's move to section 5, optimizing your word choice. It's time to refine your vocabulary and cut out the redundant data. Consider this scenario for a second. Are adults reasonable for their kids or responsible for their kids? I mean, they look similar, they definitely sound similar, but swapping these near synonyms causes major communicative glitches in your output.
It really helps to cleanly separate these two easily confused concepts so we never mix up the code again. Responsible means it is your duty. You are accountable for something. Reasonable, on the other hand, just means sensible or fair. An adult's duty is to their child, so they are responsible for them. Oh, and another classic pair is password versus passport. One is an account login, the other is a physical travel document. Please don't hand the airport security guard your password.
You know, optimization also means ruthlessly cutting redundant words, what software developers call bloatware. The glitch, a lot of senior adults, just repeats an idea that's already there. Seniors are, by definition, adults. We really don't need both words. The optimized patch is simply a lot of seniors. Keep your output clean, fast, and efficient. So the crucial point here is that English fixes certain verb-noun pairs together, which we call collocations. Relying on a logical, direct translation from your native language is very often a bug. For example, you don't make trust. That's a glitch. You build trust. You don't find the sense of life. You find a sense of purpose. And you definitely don't do a methodology. You take an approach or use a method. Learn the pairs that naturally flow together. And finally, Section 6, running the B2 update. Let's initiate the final compile phase.
All right, here is your ultimate software update checklist. Whenever we write or speak, we should be actively scanning our output for these trigger points. Keep an eye out for those double future markers like will going to. Watch for a modal followed by anything other than a base verb. Scan for there is before a plural noun. Missing articles. Apostrophes slapped onto plain plurals. Comparatives missing the word than. Guest prepositions, and of course those redundant bloatware words. Look, actively catching and debugging these exact errors is the true difference between remaining stuck at a B1+ level and empowering yourself with solid, reliable B2 fluency in both your writing and speaking. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Which of these glitches will you actively patch in your very next conversation? It's time to stop guessing, start debugging, and watch your English fluency compile flawlessly. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.